The General Data Protection Regulation EU 2016679 GDPR is a regulation in EU law on data protection and privacy for all individuals within the European Union (EU) and the European Economic Area (EEA). It also addresses the export of personal data outside the EU and EEA areas. The GDPR aims primarily to give control to individuals over their personal data and to simplify the regulatory environment for international business by unifying the regulation with the EU. Superseding the Data Protection Directive 9546/EC, the regulation contains provisions and requirements pertaining to the processing of personal data of individuals formerly called data subjects in the GDPR inside the EEA, and applies to an enterprise established in the EEA, regardless of its location and the data subject's citizenship, that is, processing the personal information of data subjects inside the EEA. Controllers of personal data must put in place appropriate technical and organizational measures to implement the data protection principles. Business processes that handle personal data must be designed and built with consideration of the principles and provide safeguards to protect data, for example, using pseudonymization or full anonymization where appropriate, and use the highest possible privacy settings by default, so that the data is not available publicly without explicit, informed consent, and cannot be used to identify a subject without additional information stored separately. No personal data may be processed unless it is done under a lawful basis specified by the regulation, or unless the data controller or processor has received an unambiguous and individualized affirmation of consent from the data subject. The data subject has the right to revoke this consent at any time. A processor of personal data must clearly disclose any data collection, declare the lawful basis and purpose for data processing, and state how long data is being retained and if it is being shared with any third parties or outside of the EEA. Data subjects have the right to request a portable copy of the data collected by a processor in a common format, and the right to have their data erased under certain circumstances. Public authorities and businesses whose core activities center around regular or systematic processing of personal data are required to employ a data protection officer (DPO), who is responsible for managing compliance with the GDPR. Businesses must report any data breaches within 72 hours if they have an adverse effect on user privacy. In some cases, violators of the GDPR may be fined up to €20 million or up to 4% of the annual worldwide turnover of the preceding financial year in case of an enterprise, whichever is greater. The GDPR was adopted on the 14th of April 2016 and became enforceable beginning the 25th of May 2018. As the GDPR is a regulation, not a directive, it is directly binding and applicable. Subscribe our channel for more such informative short video.